So you have a podcast and you're wondering how often you should release podcast episodes. It depends on a lot of things, really. I mean, how often can you produce podcast episodes? How fast can you produce them? How fast can you edit your podcast episodes? And on top of that, like, what type of podcast do you have? Do you have a news podcast? Do you have a serial podcast where you're telling a story long term? Like, what's the nature of your podcast? How often will people want to listen to it? Very rarely do people want a podcast that's daily. Usually weekly is kind of the standard, most common podcast series, but maybe that's too much for you. So maybe you should think about every other week. Maybe you should think about monthly. There's a lot of different options for podcast frequency, and really, you just have to decide what's going to work for you. What's going to work best? What can you manage? What's reasonable within your current context, within your current schedule? And once you know that, then you can make the right decision and get started.